Tennessee got embarrassed in their playoff debut, and they haven't won a championship in over 25 years, so I'll be rebuilding them in this video until we can win it all. But to make it more interesting, we can only use the transfer portal. That's basically where all the players in the sport end up nowadays anyway, and since this is coming out right after Christmas, I thought I'd be a bit festive. I got Christmas early too, seeing Tennessee fans get humbled after how crazy they were talking before this game. But now I have to save them, which stinks as a Kentucky fan, and these are some of the other challenges we have to complete while winning it all. I hope y'all got to spend some good quality time with your families these holidays, got everything you were hoping for, and it's time to dive into only recruiting out of this transfer portal. I almost want to make sure we bring on somebody at every position, but quarterback's probably the one we can ignore, because we have freshman Nico Iyamaleva. If that's not how you pronounce it, I'll be wrong this entire video, but look at this. The kid doesn't have a single skill cap. As much as I don't like Tennessee, it's probably going to be fun to play with him, so we're going to start looking at halfbacks, and we have Jamal Haynes and Justice Haynes. Those are just 2 of the 10 4-star transfers we can add to our board, but we also get 1,350 hours a week, so I can go after some lower rated prospects too. Since I'm only allowed to use the transfer portal for recruiting, it is crucial that we get some depth pieces in here, even if they are 2 stars. And I think what we're going to figure out pretty quickly is if we can't guess a player's hard sell correctly, we're going to have like no chance at landing them. Well, after just a couple weeks of the portal, we've made our first signing, Justice Haynes. But luckily for us, he wasn't the only player we picked up. We also brought in 2 wide receivers, Jamal Haynes too. And although I could be upset that we lost out on these 3 4-stars to other schools, I'm not, because our offense just got a lot better. Both Justice and Jamal Haynes are top 15 recruits as well, so this might be the earliest I've ever completed a challenge when starting a video. You also might notice on there, one of the challenges is we can never beat Kentucky, so that means I have to make sure we lose that game every season. And that's just gonna make this rebuild even harder, but I just turned 22 on Christmas yesterday, so I had to do it. I've only seen Kentucky beat Tennessee 3 times in my lifetime. It's almost like I'm trying to fix them and destroy them at the same time. There's still a few more 4-star transfers we could get if we guess the hard sells correctly. But this game's not making my life easy. Patterson's main deal breaker is brand exposure, so that's a given interest, but it's the only one he has unlocked. With a lot of free hours still available at the end of this week though, I have put a lot of 2-star transfers on our board just so we have some long-term depth. And I just see it as insurance for all the players that don't choose our school. I think we got our final 4-star. I think I can pretty confidently say one position we're not going to have to worry about in this rebuild is cornerback. We just signed 5 of them in 1 week. And just defensive backs in general, we also brought in free safety Trey Moore. I think we're going to get Hardaway as well, but we lost out on linebacker Langston Patterson. I've never had a chance at getting this many players in the transfer portal, and even during the final week, I might be able to bring in a couple more prospects. There it is. We've brought in another 4-star. We've brought in yet another cornerback. And then I think on top of all the good transfers we got like another 15 2-stars that could always develop. I might have spent 45 minutes inside the transfer portal, but if you look through this, I've been able to bring in 33 prospects. The only kid I didn't get was this left outside linebacker later on in the period. But I've moved all the players that had star dev or higher to the top of our board, and there's only 4 of them. What I'm super curious about though is where this recruiting class is ranked. We signed a top 25 class only using the portal. I think that is an achievement in itself. It wouldn't have been possible if we weren't able to get some of those 4-star transfers. There's no telling how many of these players are going to be around for a while, because just like if you date a girl that cheated on somebody to be with you, the same way that you get them's the same way that you lose them, so I wouldn't be surprised if a million of these corners entered the portal again. I'm really just going to have to find some other uses for a couple of them. They could end up at wide receiver, halfback, or linebacker. And after training results, our team's up to an 87 overall, but that's going to hurt us when we can only use the transfer portal, because transfers don't get any effect to player progression in their first year. You'll notice that their overall is not going to jump. The players that transferred in aren't even on this list. And if they turn out to be low overalls, we can't get rid of them and encourage them to transfer again for a year because they literally just joined our team. Getting rid of a lot of players is never going to be easy, but then there's guys like Keith. He's got 86 speed. He's our worst running back, and his deal breaker's playing time. He'd transfer either way. It does stink though to know that I can't recruit any high school football players. I have to wait until the next transfer portal in order to recruit. And there is going to be one more part of this video that's going to make it even more challenging. Until we win at Ohio State, they're going to be on our schedule every single season. I think it's going to take a while to get Tennessee a championship with all the rules I've put in place, so I'm going to start redshirting players that aren't prepared to start. I'd much rather those players get another season of development. Our opening game is going to be against Syracuse. And in each one of these matchups I hop into, I have to sim straight to the 4th quarter. Whatever the score is by the time we hop in, I have to take over from. But I think all the challenges, rules, restrictions I've put in place for this video are going to make this too challenging. I am all for hating on Tennessee. I'm okay with it. but they would not be losing like this to Syracuse. Trying to pull off a 23-point comeback is not how I thought we'd be starting the year, though Nico is scrambling. He is going to get into the end zone, and this is the start of what we needed. Our defense has not shown up for this game, but maybe the offense will in the fourth quarter. And every time we get them to a 3rd and 2, it's a chance to get a stop, and we do. Now, I've never used Tennessee's playbook, but I think it could get interesting. I like how it's spread out. Except we got hit, and that throw's going to go straight to him. We can't catch a break in this game. We're actually going to lose the opener. Nico's acting injured, and by the time we can get them off the field again, they're about to go up by 3 possessions. Thankfully, Iyamaleva is still out there for this next drive. I mean, our hope is going to be in getting a touchdown in like 20 seconds, and maybe then the game isn't completely over, but we're going to have to come up and catch this ball. They got the pick. Even with some more extra effort, I just couldn't overcome the deficit. And I've already tweeted out on Twitter, this could be the first rebuild I actually fail because I don't see how it's going to go well. Remember, one of our challenges is I'm never allowed to beat Kentucky, so I have to make sure that we lose this game, which means we're going to have an automatic loss on our schedule every single season. Also, Tennessee fans, if a guy playing video games making a forced loss happen every season gets you upset, you might need to reflect a little bit on your life. I feel like I don't have that hard of a challenge right here either. At the moment, Tennessee is losing. I'm trying to throw it to Kentucky. So we might have lost this game either way. I'm just trying to have us fumble something. Don't catch the ball there. Let Kentucky win this game. Go ahead. Pick it up. The Wildcats are going to take down Tennessee. Oh, we're starting this season 0-2. This could be the dumbest thing I've done in a video all year. It might affect whether or not we can be successful, but I'm gifted at throwing interceptions to the other team, so I feel like that part shouldn't be too difficult. There it is. Kentucky is going to take down the Volunteers. I should not be happy, though. The longer it takes to win a championship with Tennessee, the more I have to look at the ugly orange. And of course, from here on out for the rest of the season, my goal is to win every single game. We've just gotten really unlucky that Syracuse played well, then we have to play Kentucky, which is an automatic loss, and then the Ohio State game on the road comes right after. I mean, by the time that I'm out there, this isn't even savable. Is it realistic? Potentially. It's what happened in the playoffs. But losing games like that does not make me feel good about any of our future potential. Julian Sayen's just a freshman. He's going to be there this entire video. And we have to play Ohio State until we beat them at Ohio State. Plus, we have an SEC schedule that has Alabama on it, Georgia on it, and even Tennessee fans know to be worried about Arkansas. We could start our 9-game winning streak right now, though. Maybe there is still a chance we make it to the 12-team playoffs. And it was about time we got to play at Neyland Stadium. I'm not sure why that first game against Syracuse was on a neutral site. I'm sure it's supposed to be in real life, though. As you can see, UAB has not been able to keep up with us. We're getting a late interception. I wanted to go for a lateral to return it for a touchdown. That isn't working. But I don't want Tennessee fans to hate me too much. I will try a little bit right here. I'm going to throw this ball up to Nathan Leacock. He's going to catch it. And we're still going to try and get a touchdown to end this game. How did they not intercept that ball? We're on Heisman, so I guess UAB is just that terrible. But that was a good way for us to bounce back. I have not completely destroyed this program. There's still a lot of potential that Nico probably hasn't even tapped into. And looking at what I can do with Josh Heupel, we might go down some of this elite recruiter stuff. It could help in the transfer portal. But in the tactician tree, we also have Scheme Guru available, and then something I don't normally go down, Strategist, is another thing we could explore. That's something a little bit different, at least, compared to what I normally do. We have Mississippi State up next. This is another team I'm expecting us to take down. I would compare them to UAB almost. But I really have no room to talk as a Kentucky fan. I understand that. We were terrible this year, and we're going to keep getting worse. If Mark Stoops didn't have such a huge buyout, I would be ready to move on from him. This game has been over. I step in and I'm just throwing interceptions. So I'm glad that once I got to play in the fourth quarter, we already had a huge lead. The reason I have that rule is I want to still build a good roster on paper. And if you have to sim 75% of every game while playing in the SEC, you're forced to have a good roster. Florida is our next opponent now. There was also a large portion of my life where my Kentucky Wildcats just couldn't beat the Gators. But you know what? I think it lets me look at college football a lot more objectively because there's not many years when we're in the running for the top. Anyway, in this matchup, we were up by a possession. Now we're up by 2. And if we can get DJ Lagway and Florida off of the field, we'd be in a pretty good spot. The problem, though, is I don't think that's going to happen. They've driven it all the way down the field. They're jumping over our tackles. And this game cannot be close because I promise I will find a way to choke it. They're now on 3rd and goal, though. The jet touch pass isn't working for them. And here we go. I've pass committed. I didn't think they'd run it 4 times in a row, but they did. It puts the pressure on us a little bit, but I like how this Tennessee offense is spaced out, except we just got stuck. It looks like Florida is going to get this ball back, though. Nico's was going to pick it up on the ground right there. We got a slide. And I've noticed that Jamal Haynes has 23 carries for 46 yards. I don't know if I can trust him to end this game picking up this 3rd and 3. I'm trying to follow our guard. And I can promise you there is no way we are punting on 4th and inches. We could end this game in the swamp right here. One handoff. Please, please get enough. They are saying he was short. I'm going to challenge it just because we can. And it's hard to tell from here, but it turns out he did not get enough. So now we really do need to step up. DJ Lagway's just so good. What did I say? I will find a way to choke our lead. I just missed a tackle. This is bad. I'm actually trying to win this one with Tennessee, though they don't catch it. I think we're going to survive. We have to still recover this onside kick, of course. We're going to scoop it up, though, just fall down. There was never any doubt in my mind we would come out on top. And I told you there's a chance we go on a 9-game winning streak. I really don't like how many receivers want to transfer, though. Their risk of transferring is maxed out because they don't like our playing style. And that's because we're running it a lot more than we're throwing it, but I'm using Tennessee's playbook. I can't change that. We all know that whenever I get to play snaps, I prefer to just never hand the ball off at all. But considering we're only beating New Mexico State by 3, I might need to try and run down some clock. Jamal Haynes has 24 rushing attempts. I don't think Josh Heupel realizes we don't have Dylan Sampson, and they just stopped us on a 4th and 2. Why are we in a close game versus New Mexico State? How did they get that out? The fact that they're punting it with 3 minutes left is one of the more pansy things I've ever seen. But I really can't complain about it because that's going to allow us to run out the rest of this clock. By the time we're done doing that, Jamal Haynes might not be able to walk, but college players are getting paid now, so I'm fine with him taking a load like that. On 2nd and 11, there's just a gaping hole in this defense. He is a touchdown if he's not tired. And I think one more first down will do it. There's no way Tennessee's offensive line is losing that battle. Was it close? Absolutely, but sometimes the result is all that matters. And I can guarantee we're going to lose all our receivers passing for 200 yards. If anybody wins the Heisman Trophy, it's not going to be Nico putting up stats like that. Alabama's number 15 in the country. And I just realized we have breezed through 7 games and we still have a chance at making the SEC championship. We're in a pretty tough spot though. We have not had a bye week yet and we're not going to get any until after the Arkansas game, so we'll be super well rested for Vanderbilt. But that doesn't matter too much whenever our lead running back starts every game with an increased risk of injury. It's probably pretty dumb to be redshirting Justice Haynes with that in mind, but I wanted him for an extra 2 years after this. And hang on a second, I just realized we have a running back with star dev named Peyton Lewis. This kid has 97 speed and it can still increase one more time. He also has the perfect abilities. He is 360, sidestep, shifty. He just needs to keep on growing. That's exciting right there, especially if we're going to run it 40 times a game, but now we have to see if we can beat Alabama. This week and then next week against Georgia are the 2 most important matchups we've had. And I'm pretty proud of this team. It's 3rd and 9. Alabama is already trailing by 7. I'm probably missing this tackle on 3rd down. But they didn't get enough, and I can assume that they're going to run the ball here. I ran commit. That might not have been the best decision. It doesn't matter. Somehow the Alabama education system rubbed off on those 2 players. They did not realize they were running into each other, but I can't say much because I was in the Kentucky education system. I went to a very small high school in Kentucky. I had a graduating class of like 100, so believe it or not, I never got a B in high school. And I think my weighted GPA was like a 4.4, but I take full credit in it being where I went to school. It felt pretty easy. Pretty much all you had to do to pass was actually do your homework. We're about to be on a 3rd and 2. And if we're going to close this one out versus Alabama, we've got to pick this up. The speed option isn't working though. Even on the road, toughness rank 5, stadium pulse through the roof. The game has told me to go for it here, and I should have thrown it. If we end up losing this game to Alabama, it is going to be my fault, though they should have taken a sack. And I can't believe they're punting it to us after that 3rd down miss. I mean, you would think they'd go for it with 3 minutes left in the game. The plan is basically keep them as spaced out as possible and just run it up the middle against them. And I think that's the one thing we have going out of Tennessee's playbook. The computer doesn't seem to know how to stop it. The only way they do is if they're just gifted a shed like that. Read option isn't working either. And even our punt meter was shaking a bunch before getting this one off. But I think it's going to take a bounce, and that's perfect. It goes to the 20. That is exactly what we needed right there. We'll see what type of reads they're going to make. And you best believe everybody is getting told to just back up. We cannot give up something dumb here. Get that interception. Jermod McCoy is the best corner we have on this team. This time, he is actually going to come to the ball. And there was nothing that they could do from there. Tennessee is starting to own Alabama in this rivalry. The 3rd Saturday in October belongs to Nico. But there's still 8 players on this roster that don't care we're starting to turn things around. These receivers and tight ends are going to leave us no matter what. At the moment, we're only putting up 186 receiving yards per game. It's 126th in the country. And that's a shame, but we have a great opportunity playing Georgia. If we win this matchup, we should have the tiebreaker to be in the SEC championship. And we get to host them for this game of the week too, which puts us in an even better position. I think the wear and tear of 8 games in a row has just caught up to us though, because here in the fourth quarter, we're losing though we're getting the sack. Gunnar Stockton was not ready for that blitz. If we could get an interception or something on 3rd and 10, it would be massive. Though we don't make a play on the ball. And they've just continued to run down the clock, which is going to make it even more difficult for us to win, though they're not getting into the end zone. They're playing it safe, they're kicking their field goal, but they're not going to make it. And there is some hope in this stadium that we could actually come back versus the Bulldogs. There's not any hope anymore. I can't even make an excuse for how terrible that read was, though we should have an interception. But we really wouldn't deserve the bailout. I just can't believe that they're not running the ball. What is that guy doing? It's actually hurting us that it's taken longer for them to score. But now my hope has become they would miss another field goal, and where's our coverage? My first read of this game on offense was pretty rough. I will give credit to that, but their defense is also clamping up. And I'm just going to send up a prayer to Squirrel White. If that ball is actually on the money, we could have a touchdown, though he gets caught. It is a little bit too late for all of that. How spread out the offense is, I'm not sure if it's helping. It's confusing me a little bit, but I'm starting to figure it out. We really need this onside kick to go our way, though. I'm gonna see how this works out. They never touched the ball. And I was hoping kicking like that would just put a lot more power on it. Here we go, though. It's now 2nd and 12, and they're going to get a huge gain. So the game ends right here if they pick this up. I've run commit, and they faked us out with an RPO. Yeah, Georgia's taking it. Aside from my really bad interception, I tried my best. But I'm not as upset about losing this game as I normally would be. Like I said, if I made this rebuild too challenging and I fail it in like a 5-year time span, so be it. There is a 5-year cap on this as well, because I have to finish filming this so I can leave for my flight to go out and see my family for Christmas. And believe it or not, when that plane takes off has nothing to do with my channel. The world might not revolve around this college football 25 rebuild, but it feels like it revolves around Tennessee. Because a week ago, Oklahoma was at the top of the SEC standings. Now they're on a 4th and 24, trailing by 13 points in the fourth quarter, and Jermod McCoy's gonna grab that all day. That turnover made it pretty easy to seal this one in the end, but the Sooners also got it a little bit closer than I would have liked. That's with some injuries as well. As you can see, all the carries Jamal Haynes was getting was gonna add up eventually. And for whatever reason, Arkansas is ranked at number 12. I've pretty much accepted we're not making the SEC championship, but there is still a path where it could happen. And that involves taking down Arkansas at home. I really just wish the team could have opened up the season playing like this. Arkansas misses a field goal. And the black jerseys might be pretty hard to see in the shadows, but we do have a 2-possession lead. Peyton Lewis is also dealing with a ton of wear and tear though. And I think we're gonna have to switch out of Tennessee's playbook because we can't keep on dealing with this. Even if we're winning games, we're using our running backs way too much to the point where they get injured. And I would like for Nico to be able to put up great stats like this. As we get our 2-week bye period, we're going to have plenty of time to look over our season stats, even with one more game. He has 278 passing attempts, but rushing attempts, I think we got a little bit more. I'm just curious though if changing up the playbook has a chance at making sure those receivers don't transfer. But with the risk of transferring being completely red, I think it's going to be hard to convince them to stay. Going into the final week against Vanderbilt, we are number 19 in the country. And I think it's pretty clear we're not going to make the SEC championship, but at least we came close. I think all it would have taken is one more win and we would have been ranked a lot higher, probably in the playoffs up where Alabama's at. And I'm curious to see how we do with just one game of having the air raid playbook. Well, I can pretty much guarantee we're going to be going back to what we were running, the Tennessee playbook, for the rest of this rebuild instantly. We better score on my first play. And I am so shook by the fact that we've only put up 3 points that we're going for it on this 4th and 6. That's a good pass. Armstrong is in the game. He looks tired. I'm pretty sure he's one of our worst receivers. We must be dealing with some injuries at that position too. I just can't believe we're in this spot. Vanderbilt should not be able to keep it this close as a 74 overall. I'm throwing it up to Chris Brazell. Yeah, he's going to snag that all day. These corners awarenesses have to be so low. We're going to beat their man-to-man coverage, and I think we should be able to take a lead. The Tennessee playbook was clearly much better for Sim, though. They're going to pick up this 3rd and 5. And they've continued to work it down the field to the point where I think they're in field goal range against us. There is no way that we can actually lose to the Commodores. They've doinked the kick, and they had their chance, probably their first chance at beating Tennessee in forever. But if we get one first down against them, it's over. It was a close call, but we're going to finish this season 8-4. And we will never be touching Clemson's playbook again. I am instantly changing it right back to Tennessee's. As you can see, all three of those receivers are definitely gone, but I can't blame them. We're going to run the football a bunch, and we finished 4th in the SEC. This season started so bad to where it looked like it was going to be unrealistic, but I think it actually finished out being pretty accurate. Arizona State is our bowl opponent, and we were close to making the college football playoffs if we were ranked number 13. As for our official season stats, Nico still turned the ball over way too much. Of course, Jamal Haynes would have probably been a 1,000-yard rusher if he didn't get injured. And from a receiving perspective, this looks so bad. I really understand why these guys want to go. Now, I could have chosen to fire our coordinators, but I actually have kept them around for one more year. And I'm not going to lie to you, I shouldn't have done that. I just accidentally skipped over the period where I could have gotten rid of them. Their boost to stuff like tactician aren't that great, though this guy is helping out our defense a lot. And of course, we have nothing to see on early national signing day, so we can just go ahead and play the Texas Bowl. I think 9-4 is a pretty respectable season. I'd be okay with it as a Kentucky fan. And that should be a reality after the next 7 minutes because we're already up by 2 possessions. It is now 3rd and goal. All we have to do is throw for a touchdown right here. He was not open. But I'll go for it anyway. With the way we're spacing out this defense, I feel like we should be able to hit this slant, and we do. The senior receiver, Squirrel White, holds on to the football. And we ended up finishing this season 9-1 with our only loss being to Georgia. It really was these first 3 games that hurt us so much. And we have 4 more seasons left to try and win it all. Georgia just got beat by North Texas in the first round, by the way. That's a crazy way to go out. Nico is already declaring for the NFL draft. I didn't even consider he could leave as a redshirt sophomore, but he is an extremely low chance to come back, and he's gone. All of these receivers are also gone. We brought in Caden Lee using the transfer portal last year. What did I say? If they come through the portal, they're also going to leave the same way. We literally haven't convinced a single player to come back that was saying they wanted to transfer. Besides this kid, the 67 overall, we're also losing a lot of good players to graduation. And now we have to hope that we find a quarterback in the portal. I can't believe I didn't think about him leaving after this year. At least the portal seems to have a lot of good players available to us. Sometimes it limits who you can actually go after. That has not been the case here. And this is kind of disgusting as a Kentucky fan that I'm going to have a chance at getting Berrien Brown, but he left our program at the end of this season anyway. At the quarterback position, though, we didn't get as lucky. There are guys like Michael Hawkins Jr. I probably would have liked to take on, but instead our only potential transfer is Kyle Lowe. And at the moment, Temple has a lead on him. You're also going to see another like 8 4-stars we're in the running for before you get down to the 3 and 2 stars. My expectation is I hope we can sign most of these players, especially Berrien Brown, but of course that all comes back to guessing their hard sells correctly. And we've gotten very lucky with him. It says his deal breaker is coach prestige. Another interest that's been unlocked is championship contender, and this is the only hard sell it can be if those are 2 of his interests. I'm hoping how I connected the dots to figure that out makes some sense. We can actually do the exact same thing with Kyle Lowe. And just looking farther down our board, there's only a few people that we're not in first place on. Well, it turns out we have signed Berrien Brown. That is what I wanted. We're also going to get Kyle Lowe. I'm sure there's going to be a couple more 4-stars throughout here. I will gladly click through until I see that we have not signed anyone else. And this feels like a high number for the first week of the portal. We haven't even lost a battle yet, even on Scruggs, though Clemson still has a lead, and we finally know his hard sell. Also, I want to point out, Jalen Smith transferred in real life for Tennessee, so I encouraged him to transfer at the end of last season. But now he's going to transfer back here. I've never seen that happen before. We basically got set up to get everybody we wanted, including Kanye Roberts, including Jarvis Green. And look at how many players are coming to Tennessee. You might not even notice one of the only battles we lost, since Clemson has the same school colors, though I'm not happy we also lost out on this left end. And in the final week of the portal, there's literally just 2 players left. I think we're doing pretty good, though, for that to be the only way that we can recruit. And this class is going to be ranked a little lower than our last one, especially in the SEC, down here at 26, but that's still solid. I just can't believe that is how low we are in our own conference. The SEC is good, that's for sure. This time we signed 8 4-stars instead of 6 of them. And they should have never let me get my hands on Berrien Brown, though I'm not sure who's throwing the ball to him. Kyle Lowe's just a 74, so it's probably going to be Jake Merklinger. We also need to figure out our wide receiver position. After this year, we're only going to have 4 players here, and this could be a bad move, but I think I'm going to put Peyton Lewis over there and just see if he can develop. It's hard to tell if this roster is much of an improvement from what we had last year. I think it's pretty much about the same, even if the overall says it's higher. And our biggest problem has to be lack of quarterback, but we're going to hand the ball off a bunch, and Jake Merklinger could still improve a lot. I mean, his accuracy is uncapped. We also have senior wide receiver Barian Brown to throw the ball up to. Not only does he have platinum takeoff, but he is 98 speed, 99 excel. And I feel like it should be a protected game, but it's not. We don't have Kentucky on the schedule, so we're not going to start this year off with one automatic loss. We can also make Josh Heupel a little bit better, so I want to make sure we have boost to short and medium throw accuracy at the quarterback position. I want to make our offensive line a little bit better, same for our receivers. And finally, I want to go to ground and pound offense in the Scheme Guru and reduce the defender ability to shed run blocks. With all of that in mind, I think we're going to be able to move the ball a bit more effectively. This isn't necessarily the ideal way to start the season, but it's all we have since Nico left us for the NFL. From where I've gotten to hop into this game though, I'm not feeling too good. Nebraska's already chewing the clock versus us. We get the sack on third down, and we needed that so bad. It's 4th and 20, they're missing this kick. All right, Jake Merklinger, you are going to look over in Barian Brown's direction, and you aren't going to look anywhere else on the field. If that is a far enough throw, we have a touchdown, but he's underthrown him. It shouldn't be that easy to move the ball, so you know what? It's not the end of the world. But we are struggling out a hurry up. I can't change the play call, even though I wanted this to be a run, and that was not meant to go to Peyton Lewis. For having 97 speed, though, he might prove to be pretty effective for us offensively. Jake Merklinger takes off. We're in the red zone. I was trying to slide, and we better lock in. We're still down by 15 points with only 3.5 minutes left. We need more time. The stadium pulse is getting to him, though. He is cold, and Barian Brown is just going to be our trusty target. Justice Haynes is out of his redshirt season as well, so he can take it in. And I almost feel like we have to go for the 2-point conversion. Why are they standing like that on each other? There was no room for Jesus with them bouncing around celebrating like that. Typical Tennessee behavior though. And going for this 2-point conversion, we drop it. Turns out onside kick didn't go well either. That's not a surprise. But thankfully, it isn't the end of the world as long as we get a stop. We've only had to use one of our timeouts. It's going to be 3rd and 12. They're going to be well short of the marker. And we already know they can't hit a field goal from here. I'm not sure why they're attempting, though it is going to go in. I was excited to get better field positioning, but it is time to see. Are they familiar with Barian Brown's game? Why is he not outrunning this corner? I'm pretty sure platinum takeoff might have been patched, though we're going to test it again. This time, he's able to get it. We could have an amazing comeback to start this season right here. 1.5 left on the clock still. I'll throw it up to him. What was that? Maybe that wasn't the best idea in the world. Though, I think we're going to have our crosser. Come on. Our offensive line is a bunch of transfers. We should be able to give Jake Merklinger enough time. And we have to go for this on 4th and 10 now because they hit that field goal. This is not going to work. Before this play started, we were going to double team this kid, but no, we shoved him into Jake. And what was the point in getting 4 offensive linemen out of the portal if they stink? I even spent tactician points maxing them out. That wasn't worth it, and now we have to play Syracuse. We already know how this game went for us last season. I'm hoping we don't drop it again. And I feel blessed to get to step into this game when we have a 2-possession lead. We're going for 3, by the way. Barian Brown's fast enough to get a touchdown here. He dropped it. I'm not giving up on it, though. What type of coverage is Syracuse running? I mean, he is so open. They thought they could compete with this Tennessee offense. It looks so much better than it did last year, which is kind of weird. But it only looked good against the Orange, not against Nebraska, so maybe that was just an easier defense. North Carolina's next. We're kind of speed running through these non-conference games, which are against Power 4 schools, all of them. I don't appreciate that at all. It seems like it's going to be the reason we lose again. We have North Carolina on a 3rd and 4 that they're going to convert. And then they scored a touchdown, so they're up by 24 points with 6 minutes left in this game. If we can't get a big first play right here, I know that we're not coming back. Turns out Jake Merklinger might not have the arm to throw it up to Barian Brown the way that we want to, though. If they're going to run cover 2 and we beat the press, we can do it on the next play. I made no other reads. But we also have to convert on the 2-point conversion, and they are going to intercept it. They pressed us so well. Chris Brazel II couldn't even get open. Instead, they're getting 2 points out of it. We're about to lose another game. They're going to scoop up this onside kick. And I'm not surprised. From the point I was able to hop into this one, we were already in trouble. That trickery on 3rd down just worked as well. I'm disgusted with this team at the moment. I think we're going to switch to a 3-3-5 because there is no reason we should be giving up 47 points to North Carolina. Of course, we're no longer going to be ranked. Now we have to go on the road to play at Ohio State. And this just can't be another game where by the time I'm able to hop in, we're trailing by 3 possessions. You know what? With 5.5 minutes left, this is actually pretty good. At the moment, we are only up by 5, but that is far better than I thought it would be. I'm not sure what type of play they're about to run right here, but I'm sad they got that first down. I thought we were going to get a pick. If they hand this one off, we should be ready for it. They have nowhere to go. And here we go. It's 3rd and 7. I'm literally just going to send 3 so they don't have any reads to make out there on the field. We got to get pressure eventually, though. Come on, there we go. I really liked how we handled that right there. We're going to go with the exact same defense, and we got pressure this time. Caleb Herring right off of the edge. I think he was a part of my Players Build My Team video in College Football 25. At least we had him on our roster. But I feel like I recognize his name because he was one of the players that DM'd me back. Justice Haynes has had himself a game. He has 97 yards on just 14 carries. He's about to get some more. But one of our own players got injured on that play, and there was an injury timeout. That is the least helpful thing in the world. We're trying to run out the rest of this clock. And it is now 3rd and 9. We're going to have to wait for one of these routes to come across the field. I'm just going to get impatient and run. And you know what? We should go for it on 4th down right here. They're sending the blitz. They got in quick. I'm not regretting my decision, though. We got another sack out of this defense. It has been clamps at the end of the game. And now that it's 4th down, all we have to do is get one more stop, though I think I've left somebody open. I can get back to this ball. Come on, give me that. Carter makes the play. Tennessee's going down, and Ohio State's going down. I'm just too excited. He's still up, too. More importantly, because we beat the Buckeyes at their stadium, we never have to schedule them again. And thank goodness, because that was going to be a real issue the rest of this rebuild. The non-conference schedule was already difficult enough. We're an SEC school. We should be playing like Furman and Chattanooga in those games. But now we have to get through SEC play, and our first matchup's against number 7 Texas A&M. This feels pretty manageable, though. We have a lead as we start this 4th quarter. No, Jake, no, you're not having inaccurate passes against a team like this. We're going to have to catch him with Matthews. Look at that speed. DK Metcalf, enter DK Metcalf. No, you broke in the tackle. Berrien Brown's fast enough. We just gave up a pick 6. It would have been a good play too, maybe even a touchdown if it was accurate. And I need to watch this back to see where things went wrong. Probably if that dude was in his face. I just don't know why it floated that much. It needed to be a bullet pass. Knowing myself, there is a decent chance it was actually just not a good read. But I don't want to have to admit that. We're just going to spread their defense out and then beat the cover 2, cover 3. I don't know what they had out there. Not cover 3. It was match coverage out of quarters. That makes more sense why there was not a safety over the middle. Our left guard just gave up on blocking. Jake Merklinger does not care. Also, where is the flag for him getting absolutely railed after the play? That definitely should have been one. They could have picked it. You know what? Merklinger might not be a scrambler, but he's going to keep on running it. And we're going to trust spreading out their defense on 3rd down. We can take this drag route. Nimrod is going to get in. After that pick 6, I've got to clutch this up. We have them on a 3rd down. Please test my user. They knew better than to try me there. Caleb Herring has been screaming off of that edge. Why are they getting in pressure that fast? I think we had a touchdown to Berrien Brown. I'm going to take our hitch route. It's supposed to be open, but he didn't stop his route like he was supposed to, so they have the ball back, and that is perfectly placed. They keep on working it down the field, but they're going to have to finish their drive off, and the drag is going to get them in. That's almost best case scenario for us, though. I need as much time as possible to respond back against them. I can't take a sack. That's the one thing we can't do. I'm actually struggling to see the whole field as well out of this offense. I think I might need to change things up going forward. Because as good as it can also be hard to put the ball where you want it to, and that was great. I just have to anticipate where they're eventually going to be. Come on. If Jake Merklinger can keep that pass down, we're in field goal range. Instead, though, Berrien Brown all the way catches it. Touchdown. It was only a matter of time before that worked for us. We have gotten our way. We're also getting in with Caleb Herring. They're not getting it off. I mean, they threw it like 20 yards. That is not going to be enough for them to win. And I am enjoying playing with this team and Jake Merklinger more than last year's team. I feel like that's kind of weird because it shouldn't be debatable that last season's roster was better than this one. But I have found my preference, and Auburn is going to be hosting us for our next game. This one's pretty ugly though with 6 minutes left. We're in a spot where we're going to be on a 3rd and 19. And I'm almost considering that we're just going to have to kick our field goal to get it within 2 possessions unless we can pick this up. Perfectly placed. Matthews catches it. We would also get a defensive stop. So with 5 minutes left, they're punting it back to Berrien Brown. If he has some blocks, we had a chance at a return. But you know what? We didn't even need it. If we have enough time here, I think we're going to be able to get around that safety. Mike Matthews catches it again. I am going to continue to isolate who is ever on that side of the field. We have him. We have him. But we got hit into a pick, and this kid's just like skipping his way over to the end zone. He jumped over Jake. How disrespectful. And Peyton Lewis, I remember that you have 97 speed. I don't care if you are a first-year wide receiver. You're going to use that speed to outrun these kids. We got to come back somehow. That is what I want to see. Keep on going. Keep on going. This game's not over, even if we didn't get the onside kick. They have to go for it on third down, and they caught it. I'm going to use our first timeout, and that might save us because it was 1 second before the 2-minute warning, so we'll see. I just want to still have a chance in this game. But for that to happen, we need them to throw it right here. Play action. Do not take your check down. A sack doesn't help. We're going to have to recover an onside kick no matter what. There probably wasn't enough time either way. And guess who I'm going to try to go back to? Peyton Lewis. I want to see if this kid's actually him. He outran him, but he can't catch. I've lost all hope in this game. We had so many things that just didn't work out the way that we needed to. Though Mike Matthews is actually playing super well, we need to keep on going back to him. If there's anything we have learned from this matchup, it's that we have plenty of ways on this team to beat teams deep, but they get the onside kick. I clearly haven't built this roster good enough, though, if we're not performing in sim, because by the time we're hopping in, they're already over. Sitting at 3-3, there's multiple players that want to leave. The issue this season is somehow our rushing attack. The running backs want more carries. So we can't win with Tennessee. It's the same playbook and everything. We're going to be playing Ole Miss next. The thing is, though, if we lose one more game, this season's basically over. And we're about to be down by 2 possessions in the 4th unless they miss this field goal, which they do. It doinked off the post. Perfect. They also have Barry and Brown out there in isolation, one-on-one. We have enough time to get this throw off, drop it right on the money. He's going to run under it, and that is why you want to have a spread out offense. 2-point conversion is a pretty big deal for us as well. I'm trying to roll out. We got to get a throw off at least. Yeah, it's going to be intercepted. Probably wasn't the best idea to instantly scramble there. I bit down on the play action, and it's just out of reach. We would have had an interception against them. That one really hurts to give up on third down. We're trailing by 9 points. We have got to get something going quick. If anything, I think Jake Marklinger has proven himself that maybe in the future, whenever he's developed for a bit longer, he could be pretty good. I don't think he has the arm to throw that over that corner, though. And I've basically just given this game and the season away for no reason. It's another missed interception. This little 83 kid, he is sneaky athletic. That's all he is. Back-to-back, like 80-yard touchdowns he shouldn't have had is going to win Ole Miss the game. And even if we got it close in the end, we weren't recovering an onside kick. I have 3 years left to win it with Tennessee now because we're not making the playoffs with 4 losses. And we're 14th in the SEC, which is probably only going to get worse since we're playing at Texas. There might be a little bit of hope, though. We actually are doing all right versus them. They've left Chris Brazil II just wide open. We're going to take a touchdown lead. Or a 4-point lead. I don't even know what I was saying. I was just shocked he was that open. We'll also have a chance to get them off the field on a 3rd and long. I'm using Boo Carter, though we left him open. If Arch Manning's going to try and dissect this defense, I'm a user Caleb Hearing. This is the dude that has been great at pass rush. And they're really going to trust their defense over picking up anything on offense. Barry and Brown gets this punt return. Can we get anything going with him? All that tackle. If it wasn't for that right there, I think we could have been gone. We need to run off 5 seconds on this play. But we didn't, so there is now one final snap we have to have before the 2-minute warning, and Jake Merklinger gets us closer. This is a really big 3rd and 4. I would want to have Peyton Lewis on a go route. It's just not applying, so we're going to look for our hitch routes instead. And we don't get it. Then the Longhorns took 40 seconds to score a touchdown, so we find ourselves down by 3. I should not have thrown that one away there. We had somebody open. I just didn't know his button because we're on the road. And the same thing happened right there. I don't know what our crossing route is, though we should have it right here. At least we're getting the first down. Peyton Lewis. We just got to keep on running plays in hurry-up mode, though. And I threw that ball. I didn't mean to hit that button. I was trying to snap the play. I just fat-fingered us into a loss against Texas. They don't get it, though. I truly thought they were about to run for a touchdown right there. We still have 3 timeouts. I still can't believe I accidentally threw that ball. I thought they might go with play action, but they were content with settling for this field goal, and we need them to shank this. It's not happening. It is a miracle that this game isn't already over, but we can't take a sack. Even worse, it's a fumble. At least pick it up. Pick it up. Absolutely zero composure on the road. Our quarterback is cold. We're going to throw up a 50-50 ball right here. It's definitely not going to work out for us. Yeah, they knock it loose. If our offensive line can give us like 3 seconds, I can get a pass off to Barry and Brown. We have to throw it right here, though. And he is going to get loose. Go, 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 go. Barian Brown is him. I don't care. He transferred out of Kentucky. He's still him. It might only be in college football 25. I don't care. We get the win over Texas. Their mascot's dancing like they just somehow won. But no, it's Tennessee going in there, winning on the final play. We are so lucky. I should have never hated on Jake Merklinger. He is way better than what we had with Nico. But I do realize next season we're not going to have Barian Brown, and LSU is number 3 in the country. But before we finish the rest of this video, a word from Prize Picks, today's video sponsor. I hope you're having a great holidays, and they're here to make them even better because Prize Picks is giving $50 instantly to anybody that signs up using my code BOARD. If you think you know sports, this is a great chance to test your knowledge as you predict higher or lower on player projections. And Prize Picks is now available in over 40 states. Like I said, I can get you some free cash to start out with on there, so use code BOARD to get $50 instantly whenever you play with your first $5 plus lineup. But make sure that you play responsibly, and now it's time to resume the rest of this video. This schedule is just brutal. I want to catch a break. It's not going to happen. And we are very fortunate to only be trailing by 7. Of course, before I can snap the ball, right on the first play I get into, there's a penalty. But I'm going to trust Barian Brown right here. If it's man-to-man coverage, it's zone, so we're going to have to hit our hitch route. That is how you stop. This is perfectly fine. Maybe we could be a 4-loss team in the playoffs. I'm going to step up and sling this to Barian. Why not? 50-50 ball, catch it. He didn't even try to play for it. We might actually just be incredible with him. I'm not sure how we scored. But they have been able to march it down the field versus us. Third down, we're going to make that tackle. I can tell you right now, we're not playing for overtime. It did sneak in. And they've basically double-teamed Barian Brown over on the left side of the field. Oh my gosh, I should not have put that much under the pass. That could have been bad. For whatever reason, I didn't imagine that safety getting back to it. That was a really, really bad decision. But if he wasn't there, we had a touchdown. That is what my brain was thinking in the second I threw it. And there we go. Mike Matthews catches it. We're just going to keep on spreading them out and putting it where it needs to be. They covered the crosser, and I should have gotten rid of that ball. I don't want to have to kick a field goal from over here, but this is going to have to be a catch. I guess we're playing for overtime. If I shank this, we'd have all 3 of our timeouts left, but I'm not going to miss a kick like this. The real problem is going to be whether or not we can actually get them off the field and prevent them from getting a field goal. That probably isn't happening because if you haven't noticed, they have DJ Lagway at quarterback. He transferred there, and now he wants to throw it to us. Hang on, he's on our team. He wants Tennessee to win. We're going to have to make him miss right here, go all the way to the 45. And what a turnaround this has been. All we have to do is get a little bit more. We're going to be in field goal range. Perfect, perfect throw. Nobody should have ever slept on Tennessee because of the way that we're playing. Jake is going to be able to get us 8 more. And I still don't trust myself to make this kick, so we're going to try to center it up. Now, when I was streaming on the EA account about a week ago, I learned a little trick. If you adjust the camera angle like this, you go down by 1, it should be easier to hit it. Though I almost messed that up. And thankfully, we have taken down number 3 LSU at home. Everybody in Neyland Stadium is super proud of this team. If we didn't have Barian Brown, we're probably sitting at like 3-6. Maybe even 2-7, but instead, there is a slight opportunity for us to make it to the SEC championship. And even if we don't, you're going to see that we're inside the top 25. So if we win out, there's also a chance we sneak into the playoffs at 8-4. It's kind of the same thing that we ran into last year, but look at our final 3 opponents. We have Missouri, South Carolina, and Vanderbilt. There's nobody on our schedule that's above 500. I think we're going to be okay. I might also regret saying that. You never know what's going to happen. But at least in this game against Missouri, by the time I'm out there on the field, we're up by 2 possessions. We'll see what they do on this 3rd and 6. You've got to knock that out. I would have been so upset if they gave that up. They're going to hit this field goal. And we've begun the process of just running it a bunch as we're going to keep on picking up the first downs. Justice Haynes only has 10 carries in this game, so we've definitely slowed down the workload compared to last year. But it's the same Tennessee playbook, so I'm not quite sure what the difference is. Roberts is hitting another gear, though. Poor Kanye Roberts transferred in as a senior, and he's not even our starter. But it wouldn't have made any sense to make him our starter. Here on 3rd down, it doesn't really matter if we get this or not, because either way, we're going up by 2 possessions, but now they're in a much worse position. They're going to be out of timeouts. We're going to have either a 10 or 14 point lead, and Justice Haynes gets the edge. That is how you finish out a game. That's how you hold off the Tigers. And look at that. We are climbing up the rankings so fast. We might be able to even pass up 9-2 Tulsa. I really think we're about to make the playoffs with 4 losses. But South Carolina's trying to make it tough on us. They're using a read option on 3rd down, and we were not fooled for a second. We know Lenore Sellers can scramble. That is a really good pass, though. The thing is, if they score a touchdown on this drive, they're going to take a lead against us. And it might be time to come out and cover 0 and just send the crib at them. They've been in hurry-up mode for this entire drive. We have not been able to get them off of the field. And I get impatient way too quick. We have a blitz coming in. It's a bad pass. Finally, we did something right defensively. Here on 3rd and 10, we still knock it loose. And I thought they might go for it, but instead they're going to give us a chance to run out the clock. That is not a good idea on their part. We have sealed so many games doing this season. But somehow they spotted this as a 4th and inches. Thankfully, it's being reviewed. That new set of downs is nice, but we had to snap it before the 2-minute warning. And all we're going to have to do on a 3rd and 13 is pick this up through the air. They must have run commit because Barian Brown, as fast as he is not toasting somebody by 20 yards. That worked out super well for us, though. They have decided to settle for a field goal with 30 seconds left. Just giving them a little bit of hope, but we should recover this. We've dropped it. Come on. We still got it. The way we just handled the ball there did not make me feel good. But who cares? We're about to make the playoffs. I think a spot in the SEC championship is out of the question, though. And all we need to do is beat Vanderbilt. I am looking for teams that could lose this week. If there's any matchups like against number 3 North Carolina, number 23 Auburn, it is always possible. But the worst thing that could happen is we get left just on the outside like last season, and I'm starting to believe that could occur. We have done what we've needed to against Vanderbilt. I mean, this team has clearly proven that we can destroy them. But just for good measure, we just need to get another score. At the end of the day, you can't be upset about ending the season with a 41-7 rivalry win. And I've been giving Jake his props as much as I can. He took over a situation that wasn't ideal, but going into conference championship week, I think a few things have to happen for us to even have a chance. We're at 15 still, so I think Kansas State has to win, Alabama has to lose, and then also maybe NC State drops out. But 4 losses could just be too many, and I am going to fire both the coordinators. We didn't have a bad season. In fact, Jake Merklinger almost put up stats that could get him a Heisman Trophy if he cut back on the interceptions. But I do want to get some tacticians in here, and we're still running the ball like 340 times. Of course, at receiver, there was one main person that stood out. That would be Barian Brown. And look at that. We've been thrown in the Texas Bowl again. We didn't get in over LSU or North Carolina, who ended up losing, but Maryland is still in at 9-4. I guess a conference championship loss shouldn't drop you that far. And the group of 5 bid went to number 18 Tulane, so we needed to be in the top 11 schools. That isn't what I wanted to see, but I'm hoping we can sign a couple tacticians. And to me, that's far more important than whatever happens in our bowl game against Arizona. We are in this one, though, with a minute and a half left. I would like if Barian Brown could leave on a solid note. I'm gonna give him a chance to make a play right here. He won't. But we continue to put him outside on that left side with a chance to just go deep. Yeah, that safety can knock it back to that ball, but he's out of bounds. Let me just enjoy this in peace. I'm not gonna get to use him next season with Kentucky on the game. But it still feels very weird that he did transfer to Tennessee in this. I don't think he's gonna transfer there in real life, at least. There's the tutty. In fact, I'm pretty sure he settled on LSU in real life. I do hope he has success there. That could have been bad. If they return that, they could have gotten 2 points. All they need to do is get a field goal to take us down, and they're getting closer. I feel like the defense we have out there is good at maintaining teams, but it gives up a lot of stuff underneath. And that's why I've gone with some hard flats on 3rd and inches, where we're going to get the interception with Beasley. We take this back. This game is completely over. Actually, if we go down, it's over. If we get in, they still have a chance. But I don't care. We can clearly trust our defense. I might be the stupidest individual that has ever lived. I skipped one play. They score a 75-yard touchdown. Now we have to stop them on the 2-point conversion. We did. Thank you. Okay, it looks like we are going to survive against Arizona. I don't know how they scored, but because it was simmed, I can't see what happened. We've made a little bit of progress in the coordinator hire. We got our DC. Now we just got to find our OC. And on the offensive side of the ball, I've not really found any true tacticians besides Gerald Dunn. He is the scheme, veer, and shoot, which is the same as Tennessee's playbook. He isn't necessarily the perfect hire, but he will be good enough to get the job done. And we're still at risk of losing a few of these players to the portal. It looks like Oregon was able to make the national championship, but that Nebraska team we lost to made it all the way. And there is a lot of players that we are saying goodbye to on this roster. 2 players we have to convince to come back, though. Deshaun Bishop is not at running back, and we are getting our tackle at least. I feel like we'll be able to pick up some more guys in the portal anyway, but there's just 4 4-stars that'll consider us, and the rest are just 2s. This is just a disaster. I have to sign these wide receivers. Whether they're good or not, we don't have enough at that position. I might do a little bit of filtering though on these other positions. Like, I don't want an 87 speed cornerback. That's not going to help us out at all, especially in the SEC. And then at quarterback, I thought surely one of these guys would be good, but I actually want none of them. We might have lucked out with the wide receiver position though. It's the only one that's going well. We have a 99 speed right here, and then another 99 speed 2-star. When it comes to the 4-stars though, without our recruiting coordinators, we're not getting many transfer options. We're not in the lead for any of them. And this has become the period of trying to guess some of these hard sells. Sometimes that's not even enough though. We probably should have put this kid on a visit. I don't think we're going to get him. And then we probably would have landed Jericho Washington Jr. if I didn't mess this up. There was simply too many options for what his hard sell could be though. We'll take one more step. stab at it. And even the 2-stars have been a little bit difficult, to the point where I feel like I've got to put some of these kids on visits. If we make it to season 5 and we still haven't won it all, I'm not sure there's even going to be a team. We're barely getting some transfers, but I will take it. We got 2 4-stars. And the actual ones that matter are these 99 speed receivers. I think we're going to be able to get all 3 of them. Those weren't that close. You're going to see that we lost out on 2-star John Pierce, though. We lost out on these 4-stars, and Tydrick Brown, I think I'm going to take off the board since we got our corner. For having 43 team needs, though, to not get like anybody is a bit of a problem, but I just couldn't get myself to go after most of the 2-stars. I only went after positions that we really needed. None of their dev traits are that exciting either. We're just going to see some impact, we're going to see some normals, and you know that our class is going to be ranked at the bottom of the SEC. There was a school that did it worse than us, though, if we're 133, and that was San Jose State. I don't know what they were thinking putting together a class like this, but it's not going to get them anywhere. As for position changes, I might need to get somebody over to running back. We only have 3 of them, but even at wide receiver, we don't have many here. The 99 speedsters are 70 and 68 overalls. If I wanted to change their position, I couldn't even do that because we don't have enough players at receiver. And I've decided we will move a tight end over there even if he drops down by 5. Everything else about this team seems to be alright though, especially our defense, and this is before training results. Now, I'm not going to sit here and act like this team is perfect. We don't necessarily have one difference maker that stands out, but we have a lot of players that are 88s, 89s, and even the 87s go on for like 10 roster spots. Jake Merklinger, our quarterback's gotten up to an 86. It's manageable, but he's an 83 without tactician boost. And then at running back, we're going to be fine, but wide receiver is where I'm worried, and Peyton Lewis, our wide receiver 2, who used to be a running back, has 99 speed. I also moved over one of our corners to free safety because he had 99 speed. I think he's going to make for a good user, but I don't think there's any way to get our team overall up much more, and even signing some of these receivers is probably dragging it down. After getting rid of a couple things though, like our 4th string quarterback and some other seniors that wouldn't see the field, I did get us up to a 92. But just know that we currently have 53 team needs. I'm not sure how we would ever fill this during the transfer portal period, but we might have to try. The current roster construction is 30 seniors, 28 juniors, and just 2 freshmen with no sophomores. So only using the portal could be one of the worst ideas ever, but Kentucky did not generate on our schedule again, and non-conference our only tough opponent's Miami since we don't have to play Ohio State. There's definitely some flaws in this team, but if we struggle offensively, I would consider starting Anthony Eager over Cooper Hodge. And before we play our first game, I can spend 12 more coach points. I think we've got to put this towards our defensive line. It probably won't make much of a difference, but I feel like this is the best I can do setting up a roster for a chance at a championship. But just making the playoffs in the first place would be a nice start because we've yet to do it. Well, by the time we can play this one, we're currently tied 28-28, but I'm being a little bit aggressive. I think we should have converted right there, so we're going to go for it on 4th down, and that is our transfer receiver. Anthony Eager looks pretty shifty. I like that. We're going to hand it off to Justice Haynes. He has a nice lane to run through, but I can tell you right now, for somebody that loves to throw the ball, this team is going to struggle. I almost think we're better off trusting our offensive line. It is pretty good. It's going to be 4th and 3, and we're not in a position where we can afford to not get this, so we're going to kick it here. I think throughout this season, I'm going to have to lean on our defense. On 3rd and 14, I sent Caleb Herring off the edge, and I'm pretty sure he's the one that's all up in that quarterback and brought him down. Now, what I wasn't expecting was to see them going for it on 4th and 22, but I guess they don't really have a chance, and we're going to get the interception with White. We would have been better just swatting that ball down, but he's going to return it back to where they started, basically. And look at how aggressive Miami has come out trying to stop the run. I feel like we got Ashton Genty in our backfield. It's really just Justice Haynes. We're going to get the first down. And is this possible? For us to start the season with a win, I think we're about to do it. Yeah, we definitely will now. To finish it off, all we have to do is take 1 knee, and that is going to make us 1-0. Our best player in this game was Justice Haynes. But if you thought our schedule was getting any easier, you would be wrong. We have Texas before we get to play against Ohio and an FCS school. Then there's Ole Miss. There's at Death Valley, number 3 LSU. And that's quite a few difficult games to get through, but I don't see us picking up 4 losses. Don't worry, I've already knocked on my own wood, my desk, so that shouldn't jinx it. And I am loving every second of this team so far. We're jumping in at 28-7. I'm hoping I'm not blowing it by going for it here, but I think we can get open versus man-to-man coverage. And just the fact that we are performing this well, especially in sim, is beautiful. Justice Haynes already has 2 touchdowns on the ground. around, if I'm being honest, I'm going for 3. And that would mean he'd have 5 touchdowns in our first 2 games. We just got to get a little bit faster. There we go. We've yet to have anybody in the running for the Heisman Trophy, but that is one of our challenges throughout this video, so he might be the person to force feed the ball to. I'm still just shocked that we won by that much. Maybe the home field advantage helped us out though, and I think the tactician boost on our defensive line paid off because I just noticed our defense is now a 94. Poor Ohio. I promise I will be sick if this game is anything less than a blowout by the time that I can hop in. Well, turns out I'm gonna be sick because they have somehow been able to keep it within 5. And Justice Haynes has just taken a beating. He only has like 13 carries. I think the fatigue that running backs take on this game definitely needs to be tuned. We can move it through the air though. And I wonder if Peyton Lewis and his 99 speed can burn by an Ohio cornerback. I mean, I figured this kid could do that. He has transitioned well from running back. I think we need to give him a new number though. But I'm pretty sure I can't do that since he's a real life player. On 3rd and 19, I don't know where he thought he was running to. But we have made this a 4th and 32. I just remembered this is the safety with 99 speed. And I promise at some point this season I'm gonna get a sick interception with him. Justice Haynes is just done though. I want to get him a touchdown before the end of the game just to pad his stats a little bit. And that's right, I have fully committed to trying to get this kid the Heisman. He believed in this program. He took a redshirt year, he transferred in, and after forcing a turnover, he's gonna get a 3rd touchdown. I hope he gets some good rest during the bye weeks though, because he's gonna need it. And he didn't even end up winning player of the game. It's understandable though, it's his first game under 100 rushing yards, and I have been checking the Heisman race, but he's nowhere to be seen. I think he could appear after our next game though, because we're playing an FCS school. Well, by the time we are out there, Tennessee's up 52-0. They're literally kicking a field goal just to get on the board. And it didn't feel right to run up the score on them. We had our backups in anyway, so there was no purpose in trying to put Justice Haynes out there. He could be risking injury. Apparently, Jake Merklinger had 4 touchdowns, so he must not have had many. But I think any running back that averages 2 to 3 touchdowns a game has a pretty good shot at winning it. He's been consistent for us. We've been able to depend on him, but now we are number 2 in the country, taking on number 5 Ole Miss. This is a big game. There's actually only a few teams that are still undefeated. I'm not sure how so many have already lost, but we know we have to play pretty well, especially if we're going to make it to an SEC championship, and winning one is another one of the challenges. The only thing that seems like a lock at the moment is never beating Kentucky. I think we're going to have that one handled. But I just realized that if we run into Kentucky in the SEC championship, I have to let them beat us. I feel like the odds of that happening are pretty low, but you truly never know. And it's all tied up here in the 4th quarter. I'm not even going to act like I was looking for anybody besides Peyton Lewis right there. I was staring him down, but right here we're going to find Eager. And I have no idea what type of game Justice Haynes is having at the moment, though right here he's going to get about 10 yards. 11 rushes for 51 yards isn't too impressive, but we probably have passed more. And I am so stupid. When I went to check his stats, I hit the challenge flag. We just lost a timeout for absolutely zero reason at all. And if that comes back to bite us later on in this game, you know who the problem is. I was trying to get away from being boring right there, actually throwing the ball, because we haven't done much of that on this drive. But it almost hurt us, so I'm glad we were able to complete that right there, and Justice Haynes gets a touchdown. I actually feel pretty good about our defense too. I mean, they're going to get them to a 4th and 2, and we know Caleb Herring is going to scream off of that left side. They actually ran it here. I was not ready for it. It was a smart decision in theory. I don't love the wear and tear that all our defenders are on right now. I mean, they're exhausted. And staying in hurry up only makes that even more obvious. They keep on going for these shorter passes. I think we're going to be okay with 23 seconds left as long as I don't give up something dumb, but I was trying to bait him. I thought I was about to pull that off right there. I'm stuck on our defensive tackle. Come on, somebody knock that loose. By the way, it said they were kicking the extra point, so I just simmed it because it was the extra point. I knew they're going to make it. But instead, they faked me out. When I simmed it, they went for the 2-point conversion. We have 13 seconds to get into field goal range, and that is not the button I thought it was going to be. I did not want to get that to Justice Haynes. I was trying to throw that ball up right there. I don't know why they would be pressing Peyton Lewis. We are actually able to use him as a blocker. That dude might have abilities, but we have 99 speed going at you on the final play, and there's no way. They gave it up. Come on, touchdown. No. That cannot be marked short. There's no way for us to challenge it. I literally can't do anything. He was in the end zone. That is probably one of the worst ways I've ever lost a game. It just happened in another video to me. But it is a game of inches, and if you slow it down, you will see that the knee hits before the ball crosses the goal line. I've taken a lot of looks at this. You have to assume their game mechanics are going to be correct, and don't ever let somebody tell you that another inch pinch doesn't help. It makes a big difference. It's the whole reason we picked up our first loss of the year, and we also have 7 players that now want to transfer because of it. Fortunately for us, though, we are still ranked inside the top 6 because it was a quality road loss. But we can't lose another game in conference play, or there's going to be no chance of us making it to the conference championship. 5 of the top 7 teams are in the SEC at the moment. I know we're going to have to play at LSU and against Auburn, but I feel like besides that, we have kind of lucked out with the rest of our schedule. Missouri's literally sitting at 1-4. If we lost this game, it would make no sense. And it's another one where we will be wearing the black jerseys. Well, it's safe to say we've played well against the Tigers, especially since we have a 13-point lead over them. But I want to extend it even more. Look at Peyton Lewis go. Just catch and run. If he would have just done that at the end of the last game, we'd still be undefeated. And the whole reason I'm even playing at the moment is I do want to get one more touchdown for us to be in a better spot. Even a field goal would help. I'm going to be able to take our crossing route on 3rd down. Hotch is in the slot. And from this point, Justice Haynes has been the one finishing off all of our drives. That little burst of acceleration was perfect. And from that point, Missouri was just out of this game. We've picked up another win. Even with 1 touchdown, Jake Marklinger, one player of the game, and I'm starting to think the game doesn't value 100 rushing yards and 3 touchdowns as much. Justice Haynes has yet to win a Player of the Week award, so he's not going to appear in the Heisman race. I forgot that DJ Lagway's at LSU. We're going to have to play him again. Luckily, it seems like they're coming off of a loss. They're 1-2 in SEC play, but a 93 overall. And looking at the standings again, Kentucky's still in the running for a spot in the championship. I would love to gift them an SEC championship in football, though. We can't think too far ahead. We have got to win this game at Death Valley, of course. And you know what I appreciate? The fact that we have a lead in this game by the time I'm able to step in, and we're at midfield. There's about 6 minutes left on the clock, so we're probably going to try to run out a lot of it. But even on only 17 carries, Justice Haynes is just tired. This is a big run, though. I have tried to audible to something else, but that isn't going to even happen. He's going to keep on going behind his blockers. And I wonder why he doesn't get taken out of the game, but they keep him out there on the field. Oh, well, we shouldn't have taken a sack right there. Now I'm going to wait for us to get open. And this is a 3rd and 12 that I did not want to have to face. I should have thrown the slant. It was there, but I kind of just stared at it. I think we're going to hit this field goal, but we are only up by 6 points. So if they're able to get a touchdown, we would be in trouble. Now, that should have been an interception. I guess that's why they're punting it back to us, even though they should have definitely gone for it on 4th and inches. But they just knew that they got bailed out, and we have to run out the clock for a couple more first downs. No, not now. Pick it up. I don't care. You can have your stats get destroyed before we're about to let LSU get a touchdown off of that. And I'm just hoping for the best on 3rd and 30. We had it. I have to be going crazy. What are you doing, Anderson? Like, there is zero explanation for just letting them get a safety. And guess who's driving down the field versus us? I've given up the seam. They have it at the 1. To be honest, I think we all know this is coming. I've run committed. And I just wanted the time to respond myself. Come on. We need a field goal. I don't think that should be too difficult for us to come by. But everything is just shaking. Our true colors are starting to show here on the road. You got to make that pass. Jake Marklinger, slant, open, possession catch. There is too much on the line to lose another game this year. Once again, we're going to have Hotch, great slot receiver. It is so loud in here, I literally can't audible, so we're going to be running this same play over and over. But here's the thing. If they're not going to guard it, I will continue to throw it. Come on, give me another 8 yards. There is a slight chance that we can get a touchdown out of this. That would be super greedy to go for it. The blocks look good though, slide. Oh my gosh. I think we can fake them with a handoff right here. Go up the middle. Good blocks. Don't hold on. Justice gets in. He just had to take a couple of hits, but he took one for the team. And Justice Haynes, that is your Heisman moment. I don't care if you didn't have a rushing touchdown. You finally got one in this game, and they do have a chance at getting this Hail Mary off. I almost hit their quarterback late. It's out of bounds. They're not going to catch it. That says a lot about this Tennessee team. We persevered there to get the win. And Justice Haynes won player of the game for the first time in a while with his 1 tutty. I panicked with that run decision, by the way. It sure wasn't the right move, but we are fortunate. We're also starting to climb up the conference standings and the rankings. We're about to play the last ranked team on our schedule, so if we take down Auburn, I'm feeling pretty confident we'll make the playoffs. And I've been trying to do that since day 1 of taking over at Tennessee, but we've had 0 luck. There's a reason this is listed as game of the week, but we have not played as well as Auburn in it because they currently have a lead over us, though we're snagging this ball. It is never a good sign to be down by 2 possessions in the 4th quarter. Justice Haynes gets us to the 5. And I think we're better off if we go to one of these spread out formations where he can just run it up the middle. We need a touchdown, we need a stop, and then we need another touchdown. But it'd also be nice if we could get the 2-point conversion in the process, and I don't know what I'm doing. They're probably going to pick up this 3rd and 3. I'm glad they didn't run it though. And come on, get the sack right here. No way Walker White's able to get around us all. That was obviously far from ideal, but we have gotten them to a third down. They're testing White, and that is not a good decision. He might have a chance at returning this all the way. We got to get around that lineman. All right, now you all know what I'm going to go to. It is this 5 wide, because this is what worked so well for us at the end of the last game. I think it really opened up our chances of getting around the defense. But Anderson is getting benched after this. You can't have mistakes like that. How are you letting that happen to you as a 91 overall guard? It blows my mind, but we will put in the 87. And now that we're on a 3rd and 19, we are in a terrible position. It's out of reach. Personally, I think you have to go for it here. I'm probably just going to throw it up to Peyton Lewis and hope he can outrun that kid. I saw they brought him down, and Peyton Lewis runs under the football. We're going to go out at the 1. I told you all, I'm going to believe in Justice Haynes to get the Heisman Trophy, and that includes stat padding for touchdowns. Is he really that good, though? We're about to find out. We're going to try to run it on the 2-point conversion instead of passing, but I do realize if Auburn gets anything more than a field goal on this next drive, we are going to be in trouble, so we're going to have to hold them right here. They've had so many weird little things offensively to stop. That was a good spin move, and I feel like it's almost best if we just start using our timeouts now. This team seemed to have defense for our favorite play, though, until right here. Hotch getting loose all the way to midfield. All right, minute left on the clock now. I am so worried that we're about to lose to the Tigers, but we have learned from experience what we can trust in a situation like this, and we're going down. We can actually audible against Auburn since we're at home, so there's no reason to keep on running that same play back unless we think we can make this pass get out of bounds. All right, from here, if Matthews beats that press, we'd probably have a touchdown. I might just step up and try to scramble, but that was not the right move. I'm now going to look for Justice Haynes, or we're going to hit Eager. Obviously, at this point, it is whatever it takes to get into the end zone. Where's our slant? There it is. Mike Matthews, touchdown. We have had so many tight finishes, but we are continuing to clutch up in these situations. All that we have to do now is make sure they don't get in field goal range in 13 seconds, and I don't think it's happening. I'm not going to use one of the safeties on this play, though. I don't want to accidentally give up something dumb. They're going underneath, and I think we're going to be okay. I'm just going to send in a blitz right here. I didn't even hit Walker White. He is thrown it 10 yards short of the end zone. We get the interception, too. Man, it feels good to have now clutched up back-to-back games. And you've got to give this to Jake Merklinger. He didn't have as many touchdowns as Justice Haynes, but he led the drives and 46 rushing yards. What's going on? Jake literally had more yards than our guy that's supposed to be in the Heisman race right now. It is nice to see that there are no undefeated teams left in the country besides South Alabama. And that makes sense why they have a wide receiver in the Heisman race. Why does Lenora Sellers always go to Clemson in Dynasty, though? I swear, we just played South Carolina last year, and he was still on their roster then. But it's time for our game against Texas A&M, and as you can see, they're 4-1 in conference play just like us. Even if they're not ranked, they've clearly been able to get a good win at some point, and they're about to get another if we can't close out this game in the final 6 minutes. I no longer believe that Justice Haynes is going to win the Heisman Trophy. He has 33 rushing yards at this point in the game, but what he can do for us is help us run out the rest of the clock, and he's getting 5 yards per carry. The sim has definitely not favored him. We're waiting to accelerate, and you know what? We're going to pull out a deep passing play. I doubt they expect it. I don't think anybody was open, though. I mean, we're already basically at the 2-minute warning. So everything went by so fast. 3rd and 3, Justice Haynes gets enough. I know that they have to be run committing right here, though. I wanted to get this to Peyton Lewis. As long as we run and scramble, the clock will run. It was marked as a 2nd and inches as well, so Texas A&M loses this game if we just pick this up, and it is all over. Now, I might be pulling a Miami here, but I want Justice Haynes to finish off this drive for us. And I swear, if this kid fumbles the ball away, I'm gonna lose my mind. We're just continuing to run it at their defense. He's gonna fight his way in for a touchdown. And if it wasn't for me, he would not have a respectable stat line against Texas A&M, but more importantly, we got the win. South Carolina is clearly missing Lenora Sellers as well. They're currently 0-9. They've not won a single game. So as we go into this one, I think the expectation has to be that we blow them out. By the time that we're out there, it seems like that's kind of happened. We're up 36-17. And it's time for me to sit here and just run the ball with Justice Haynes for as much as we can. At this point in the game, he's only 13 carries deep, but somehow he is just completely exhausted. But I put in work with him. I even got another touchdown after that. And he finished with the most rushing yards he's had all season alongside had 2 touchdowns. I guess that's all it took for him to finally appear in the Heisman race. He's competing with Pittsburgh quarterback Eli Holstein. And looking at the SEC standings, how is Mississippi State up there? I feel like we played them last season and they weren't that good. Maybe I'm remembering wrong. But whether or not they get in, we should at least be a lock because our last SEC game is against Vanderbilt. We just have to play Washington State first. It should be no surprise that at this point, we are beating Washington State by quite a bit. But Justice Haynes only has like 11 carries, so I'm going to spend a little time running with him. DJ Braswell, our backup, has 2 rushing touchdowns, so we know that he's vultured those away. I mean, look at that fight. And if you haven't picked up on it, I think this is my favorite running play in the game. Especially if you come out in hurry up mode, the defense just doesn't know what to do. They had a flag there. And I've now been able to get him 2 rushing touchdowns. Of course, we're going to decline it. That should at least help out his Heisman campaign a bit. And I don't care, I'm fully padding his stats. It is so hard to win it as a running back. I mean, even Ashton Genty couldn't do it with the numbers he put up this season. And we're 1 win away from being a lock for the college football playoffs. I'll give Vanderbilt their credit though. They have played better than I thought they would. If they try to run here, we're going to be all over it. We've even forced a fumble. And I'm pretty sure Justice Haynes doesn't have a rushing touchdown yet in this game. But it's not looking like he's going to get one because we're now on a 3rd and goal from the 9. And we've just pitched it backwards. I shouldn't pick that up. Apparently, we missed the field goal. This entire game has just been a straight disaster for this team. But maybe this time around, we'll be able to finish off the drive and secure our win over the Commodores. I'm trying out a new running play. It has our receivers even farther over on the sideline. But I don't think it's hitting the same as halfback base. I might be hitting the holes wrong too. Either way, out of hurry up, we are going to get the potential Heisman winner a touchdown. And he'd finished this game with 120 rushing yards. The real player to talk about, though, is Caleb Herring. He had 5 sacks in this game, and we've actually gotten Mississippi State in the SEC championship. We have lucked out. I'm not sure what happened to Georgia, Alabama, Texas. They're at 13th in the conference, and we're going to have one more chance to prove that our running back is better than both of these quarterbacks. To be completely fair, though, these guys aren't putting up record-breaking numbers. Eli Holstein's the first one I could find, and he's like the 25th, maybe like the 30th or 40th quarterback in the country. Yeah, I had to scroll that far. In the process, though, I did run across Aiden. He's got 44 passing touchdowns with only 4 interceptions. And this Heisman race is completely over. It doesn't matter what we do to Mississippi State. We can at least take home an SEC championship, though, so we are shooting for that. It's looking pretty good in the 4th quarter. 45-0. I think Mississippi State should just be embarrassed. And after throwing that straight at a defender, I've continued to sim a bit, but I am stepping in for this 4th and 5, where we have fumbled it away. That was pretty disappointing. Now I feel like we need to drive down the field to get a touchdown for Justice Haynes. Good throw, but it's dropped. Even if he can't win the Heisman, I know he's gotten at least a touchdown in this game. I saw that pop up during one of the sims. Right here, he takes us to the 25. And I want to put up the best stats that I can with him this season. He deserves it. Right here, we need to fall down short. This is how you effectively stat pad. Mississippi State is literally getting embarrassed. And now they don't want to let us get one more touchdown. Please, just let him get in. 3rd time's the charm, 3rd and goal, running it back. And he gets it. He's going to hit the Heisman pose, even if it's not going to be his. And now we can celebrate our SEC championship because Mississippi State put up one of the worst attempts at winning I've ever seen. I appreciate I didn't have to do much. He actually had 4 rushing touchdowns. And he probably got to run the ball so much because it was over from the start. It's been a while, but we've knocked off another challenge. We're not going to get the Heisman Trophy one. That one did go to Eli, but I'm pretty sure some other awards should pop up in our favor, like Caleb Herring winning a defensive one. 19 sacks is crazy. 30 rushing touchdowns for Justice Haynes, by the way. At least we've been able to get half the challenges. We're also set up to win a championship. And if we do that, then we would have never beat Kentucky. As you can see, though, this voting makes no sense. Aiden has the best stats by far, and he is down there at number 3. Sometimes I don't get how the award system works in this game. We do have a 1st round bye, but we're going to have to play either USC or Arizona after it. And taking a look at our season stats, Jake Merklinger probably would have won the Heisman if I just threw for the touchdowns instead of trying to force feed him to Justice. He was so effective for us. Receiving wise, I was not expecting Cooper Hotch to be the number 1 target. Where is Anthony Eager? He was our 4th best. Of course, the story, though, has to be our defense. Caleb Herring getting 19 sacks, and then our other end getting 12. But they're only going to get better because we had 22 coach points available, and I maxed out the defensive line while also putting a little bit in the linebackers. I think we did right by getting these staff members in last season, and we're going to be playing the Trojans in the quarterfinals. Higher staff has popped up, though, so I think right after talking good about our coordinators, we lose one. And I thought it'd be hard to replace him, but I found Moses Darnold, who has tactical tactician clearly maxed out with a little bit in recruiter and motivator. Cincinnati clearly had a good season with him. I mean, they have a first-round bye. And you never know, we could meet them in the championship, but at least for now, our 39 points per game is going up against the Trojans. Simming straight to the fourth quarter in an elimination game is probably the scariest thing we've had to do. But seeing that we have a 3-point lead with 4 minutes left makes me feel pretty good. Justice Haynes is dealing with some crazy wear and tear, and that's why I'm not going to hand it off to him right here. I'm going to see if we can actually pass it. We come down with it. Now, I do notice the time on the clock. Once again, though, why am I throwing it? Why am I throwing it? I'm throwing this game literally. There was no reason to throw it. I really don't deserve to get a defensive stop right here. There's still the chance that we do. We should have intercepted it. And I think my brain just malfunctioned for a second. I should have been handing that ball off every single play. Right here, test in our corner. We're going to get it with Gibson the third. I'm pretty sure we got him to transfer into this team, and he gets us back to where we were. Now, if I'm trying to close this out the right way, I should be running it. But look at this. They're pressing. Let me get Peyton Lewis a touchdown right here. He deserves it. He's going to beat them deep. He doesn't have it, but we can run, and the clock will also run. USC's taken their first timeout. It was smart. It was right before the 2-minute warning. And Justice Haynes should not be out there. I would much rather have our backup, but he is going to get it. I have now subbed in Braswell since the game wouldn't do it automatically. But I think what's going to happen is we're going to have to settle for a field goal, and USC is going to have a chance. That feels like the smarter option in this scenario. He won't pick it up. But we've at least been able to run it down under 30 seconds, and now I'm going to have to bury this kick. 1 second on the clock. That was perfect. I don't trust Sim for anything though. I will be playing every last snap after some of the stuff we've seen in this video. We're even letting them take it out. And our safeties will be backed up. USC has no timeouts, so if they complete anything, they're in trouble. They would have to get out of bounds for it to be good. Instead, they took that sack. And we might just go for the safety just for the fun of it right here. Will they even get this out in time? For all the restrictions I put in place in this video, I think we've made this team about as good as we possibly can. They do get a final throw off, but they're 60 yards away from the end zone. That is how we needed to open up our quarterfinal matchup. We still have to win 2 more. And we're going to be playing against the Horned Frogs. The last time TCU got an SEC school in the playoffs, it didn't go very well. So that is exactly what I'm hoping for right here and expecting out of this roster. I think this game is being played in Texas though, so they have a little bit of an advantage. And you know what? I'm really liking what I'm seeing by the time I can hop into this game. Even if we don't get this 3rd and long, I think we're going to be just fine. And I'd argue it's better for us to just go for it right here and have a chance at keeping it in our possession. That was perfect execution. We continue to move it on them, but I'm worried about Jake Merklinger's wear and tear. It's almost completely out. It's not going to recover before the national championship. And Justice Haynes can end this game with 1 play. I fed that kid the ball all season. They have put in Braswell for the 3rd and goal. And we've just had a masterclass whenever it comes to running out time, especially since we fall in. I am very thankful that I was not tested in the situation that I was just dropped into. All we have to do is stop them on this 4th down. It will be over now. And we're about to find out who we're going to be playing in the championship. I'm pretty sure it was between Colorado and somebody else. But it must have been Cincinnati, and that is so weird that I called that. We stole their defensive coordinator. We are going to know exactly how to stop the Bearcats. And what is up with the Big 12 having so many teams in the playoffs? They were able to get 4 of them in. Both the SEC and the Big 10 were only able to get 2. And there's some weird stuff going on this file, but the entire rebuild could literally end if we just beat Cincinnati. If this is it, as much as I hate to admit this since I've been using Tennessee, this concept's been kind of fun, and this video as well. I've had a good time filming it. I hope you all feel the same way. There's definitely a randomness to just simming and jumping in the 4th quarter. But maybe I shouldn't be too excited about it, because with 7 minutes left, we find ourselves trailing, and we can dot this defense up. Come on, we have 2 guys out there with 99 speed. I don't care if they're 68 overalls. The main problem, though, might just be in getting the Bearcats off the field. They handed off on 3rd and 4. And I know at one point we were up 17-3. I'm not sure what went wrong. I am going to use that same concept that we just used again, though. And they ran cover 2 again. We have had 2 instant touchdowns in the 2 plays I've gotten to do. Have I found a cheat code to beat defenses, or is it just because it's cover 2 times in a row? I feel like I'm cooking right now, but it's 3rd and 1. They're probably going to pick this up unless we get over there, and we did. The computer is punting the ball. I'm repeating, the computer is punting the ball with 2 minutes left in the championship, down by 1. Oh, that spin might actually work. Never mind, we're just losing yards. Okay, just to find out whether or not I'm going insane though, I need to know if this is just the money concept. Would it work 3 times in a row? That's a curl route over there. I might have thrown an interception. No, we come back to it. Okay, it's probably time to stop being stupid. We just need to pick up 1 first down, maybe 2 first downs, and this championship's over. But I might actually have to use Tennessee's playbook going forward in some of these rebuilds. It's great. Just the way that everybody is spaced out on offense makes it so easy to find people that are open. That is going to do it. And it might have seemed like a tall task, but we have won it all. I am a little sad that I didn't complete every challenge in this video in this process. We did lose out on the Heisman Trophy, but considering I would have personally been okay with failing the entire thing, this is pretty solid. I mean, I had zero faith in Jake Merklinger when I found out he was going to be starting for us, but it worked out well. And then Justice Haynes took that redshirt year after transferring from Alabama, but look at his blow up from a junior to then being a senior. Neither of those players might have made it to the NFL, but I think they should have. And just out of curiosity, if we lost and we had to rebuild out of the transfer portal again, our team would have basically consisted of just 2-star players. That kind of answers the question for me that I can't ever film a rebuild where I only use the transfer portal. It would probably be impossible if I didn't have some of the starting players on this Tennessee roster. And again, I hope you all had an amazing holidays, enjoyed this video. I got one more video coming in 2024, but after that, we're on to the new year.